I was 16. I remember I needed to return a movie to a video store that was a couple of blocks down from where I lived. It was in enemy territory. So I didn't want to walk. So I remember asking my dad, like, oh, take me. And I remember he was like talking to my cousin, which is way older than me, like 20 years older than me. And he was like, no, I don't have time right now. So I was like, okay, well then it's already 2 days late. I got to take this movie. So I go, at the time I had a gun, a 38. I grabbed the gun and I went walking. Along the way, I ran into one of my homies, who the gang I was from was half Hispanic, half black. Like we were an interracial gang. And he was asking me like, where was I going? So I told him like, I'm gonna go drop off this movie. He was like, oh, I'll go with you. So we're walking and a cop stops us. Now he didn't stop us because he knew I had a gun or anything. He stopped us because he saw a black and a brown walking together. So they instantly thought like he was selling something to me or something was going on. So as soon as they stopped us and they tell them like, oh, step to the side, I started running. So I ran, I threw the gun in some house, ran a couple of more blocks. They eventually caught me, arrested me, walked me back the same way I ran. A guy came out of the house that I was in, and he goes and tells the cops like, look, he threw something there. So then the cop goes and sees the gun. He was like, oh, that's why you were running. So then they took me in. I remember that night. It wasn't until 3 in the morning. They arrested me at 8. It wasn't until 3 in the morning that I was able to call my parents. And I don't remember like even worrying about like, oh, I'm in jail. I just remember worrying like, man, they're gonna be looking for me. My dad is gonna be so pissed.
Okay, so take us back to the cops find the gun and what is discovered about the gun. It goes through forensics and?
And ballistics show that it was used to commit a previous murder. Because I was in the same gang that they suspected committed the murder, they were charging me with that murder. And it was 3 months that I was in there for possession of a gun, which is not a lot of time, especially
you were in jail for 3 months.
in Eastlake Juvenile Hall.
Okay.
So during that time, like I would always get a different public defender. Every time I would go to court, they were always trying to like, they would ask me the same thing. Where were you going? The same questions to see if I changed my story. I would continuously get a different public defender. And I remember once he was like, look, I need you to be honest. Did you commit the murder? Because they're trying to give you 10 to life. I could probably get you a deal for less, but you have to admit that you committed the murder. And I'm like, wait, I didn't commit anything.
So you were able to prove at the time the murder was committed you were in school.
Yes.
So that saved you.
Mm-hmm.